What up guys and fellow lovers of the cube world, welcome back to my channel and welcome to another redstone video with me Giorgio of course. And today it is gonna be a redstone showcase of an elevator. Actually the elevator that I'm standing in front of, it looks very cool. I think I'm not the best in decorating stuff and I'm not the best at building, but I tried. It looks cool. I even made up this little window here so that you can look at the redstone. Of course, we're gonna take a look at the redstone in a moment, in a bit more deep manner. But let's make it a little introduction. So, last week I posted a video of a piston elevator because, yeah, I used to love those things when they were popular in Minecraft. So I discovered a little new mechanic with pistons that I didn't know existed, and yeah, I decided to make the piston elevator. The problem with that piston elevator was that it relies on how fast your game runs. Since the pistons are moving the player, which by the way, if you didn't know, the player's position is calculated in a relative way. So the game doesn't always know exactly where the player is. So if the game is a little bit laggy or is running a bit slower, the pistons are not gonna be able to push the player all the way up, and yeah, it's it's gonna stop working in the middle, and you're gonna fall down, right? In order to counteract that, though, there's a well, I call it new mechanic, but it's actually been in the game for a few years already, and that's the Bubblevators. We can make elevators using soul sand and some bubbles. So yeah, Bubblevators don't require are not dependent on the lag that the game has, because even if the game stops, the player is gonna still go up when it when it continues running because it's in a he's inside of a Bubblevator, right? So I decided to make one, and actually one of the comments of last episode said that if the piston elevator was could work in the Bedrock version. Unfortunately, that piston elevator of that last episode wasn't Bedrock compatible, so I decided to also make a version of a Bubblevator that will work in both Bedrock and Java, and it is this one right here, the black one, that unfortunately it's not as cool as that one, but it does work in both versions, so you can build it either in Java and Bedrock, and it will take you up and down. And well, the good thing is all of these elevators can be turned into multi-floor elevators. They're actually designed to be multi-floor. But anyways, guys, let me show you this one first because it's so cool. It's my favorite elevator so far. And it is a multi-floor elevator, as you can see. The redstone, it's... yeah, it's not small. It's not big either, anyways, for what the elevator does. But it's not small. This is an 8th floor elevator, and it uses a space of 20 by 20 blocks. Well, by the way, it's a little bit less than 20 blocks because I'm counting these 4 blocks of the floor, but still, it's quite a big area for an elevator. The good thing about this elevator is the less floors you have, the smaller the area is gonna occupy. For example, right here, this one is only 3 floors. A 3-floor elevator, and it occupies very little space. And another good thing about this elevator is that you can separate each of the floors by however many blocks you'd like. So in this one, I made 4 because it's the minimum space that you have to live in between floors, 4 blocks. But yeah, you can do 5, you can do 6, you can do 7, even 100 blocks of space in between the floors, whatever you like. But anyways, the way this works is we have a button, a master button, right? Then we have the shaft here where the Bubblevator is gonna appear, and it uses a very nice mechanic with trapdoors. These trapdoors here, let's actually fly so I don't bubble up and down. So yeah, these 2 trapdoors right here are waterlogged. When we open them, the water, yeah, as you can see, the water flows to the middle and it creates a water source, which I think is pretty cool. And when we close it, the water source is gone. Unless, of course, we have a block here at the bottom or another water source, which is how the elevator works. Because if you didn't know, let's make a water source here. So, well, the way you make a water source is you place a water source there and another water source on the other edge, and you create a water source here in the middle, of course. But what happens if you don't have any blocks below that? Well, the water will flow down and into the middle, but it's not a water source. I cannot right click to get the water here because it's not a water source. What happens if we place a block there? Well, it turns into a water source. It can also work. Oh, let's actually remove that. Sorry. So now it shouldn't be a water source. Okay, yeah, we're good. So it's not a water source anymore. I'm right clicking, I cannot do nothing. But if we place a water source down here on this block, then the water source at the top becomes an infinite water source. Oh, I said a lot of water sources there in that sentence. But yeah, that's what happens here. So we trigger the trapdoors in a sequence, in a specific sequence, so that the first trapdoors, well, the bottom trapdoor triggers first, then the second one, then the third one, and so on and so forth until it reaches the top one, or your desired floor, that is. And that way we are creating water source every block, right? So anyways, the way it works is you select your floor, a lamp turns on, you can hit this button, and you can see all the water source form. They're very fast, and yeah, up we go to floor 6. Now if we want to go down, we have the option to go to another floor, for example floor 3. We wait for the lamp to turn on, it's turned on now, we can hit this button, the water gets removed and new water sources get formed all the way down, or well, all the way up to floor 3, as you can see. And that's with all of the floors up to floor 8 in this case. So we wait for the lamp, we hit the bottom, all the water sources are removed and then replaced all the way up to the desired floor. We're on floor 8. Now if you want to go down, it's very easy. You just select floor 1 in any of the other floors, hit the button, and the water sources are immediately removed so that you can go all the way down to floor 1 or to the ground floor. If you want to check it out in more detail, I have the usual version that I do with the glass and the iron block, so it's a little bit easier to count the blocks, to see everything a little bit more. And yeah, I also have like sectioned it into parts to show you how it works. So first of all, we have the exact same elevator right here with only 3 floors, and instead of 4 blocks of spacing, I gave every floor 6 blocks of spacing, as you can see here. 2, 3, 4, 5, and this 6. So yeah, the floors of the elevator are spaced out by 6 blocks so that you can see the redstone a little bit better, and it's very easy. We are using a water Bubblevator setup back here so that we can send signals upward in an immediate manner. We have down here a selector panel. Actually, the brains of the thing is down here. It's only this little thing. We have the same thing going on here, but a little bit extended, which is another thing that I'm gonna touch in a second. So yeah, this is the brains of the system. It's a control panel, it's an RS knowledge where yeah, the lamp turns on depending on the floor that you select, and then we're sending the signal up so that these selector panels here at the top floors can also know in which floor the elevator is set on at the moment, right? Then to transmit the signal from these control panels here at the top, we are using some rail redstone, or yeah, I don't know how to call it, trackstone maybe. So yeah, we're sending the signal through these rails, then we're kind of making a 90-degree turn here, and we're sending it back down with wall. So we are using some wall stone as well to send the signal back down, and then to the right here into the RS knowledge as well, or again I should say. So yeah, these rails basically send the signal down to these rails again, which is why we have those rails in there. One of the reasons, because the other one is, as I said, the more floors you have, the bigger this becomes, the bigger this redstone becomes, and this water Bubblevator has to be pushed back by 1 block every floor that we add to the elevator. So here we have 8 floors, so the Bubblevator, as you can see, is way back here, and well, we have to also extend the iron ore ledge down here so that it can reach all the way back here. The way we extend it is to basically add as many rails as we need, and here down here we can add some comparators and blocks in this manner, or actually it could work also with repeaters. The only requirement is this first comparator. Here on this version, I used a little trick with the redstone dust. So I'm using non-stackable items, stone shovels in this case. And well, non-stackable items, when they're read inside of a dispenser or a dropper by a comparator, they give a signal strength of 2, which means that in this redstone dust we're going to have 2, and in this redstone dust we're going to have a signal strength of 1, which means that it's not going to well, it's not going to interfere with the redstone dust that it's beside it, because, well, 1 and then 0, right? So it's 2, 1, 0, and 2, 1, 0, so it doesn't reach the other target block. It's just a little trick, but if you don't know how to do that, you can always use just lines of repeaters and blocks in that way. Now it's gonna be a little bit slower how fast this lamp turns on here at the front, but the good thing is you can push this dropper here at the back as far as you want by adding repeaters here at the front. If you were to do the same back here, because back here we also have comparators, then the whole elevator gets delayed, and we don't want that. We prefer to delay the time of these lamps turning on and off than actually delaying all the elevator itself. So I recommend that instead of adding repeaters back here, you add them to the front, and back here you can just leave the block, the comparator here, and the block here, facing right into the pistons, so that we can send the signal upward. Another thing that you have to keep in mind when modifying this version of the elevator is that rails can only transmit a signal power of 9, or well, not a signal power, but can transmit redstone signal by 9 blocks. So 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. This is how far the rails are gonna go. So for example, here we have an observer and a block, which means that it's this setup right here. And if we place a piston right here, or an observer I should say, we can see that the redstone is still transmitted. But now let's change this back and add one more rail to the 10th block. And if we do the same, we're not going to get the same result, because rails only reach 8 blocks. So if you want an elevator composed by 10 or 11 floors, or maybe even more, you're going to have to use observers to renew the signal of the rails. It's not very difficult. You just do that and the rail signal is renewed. So just keep in mind that you're gonna have to do that. As you can see, it works in order to expand the number of floors that you want in your elevator. Here the maximum is 9, or 9 because of these rails. But here, if we go down, we have another rail line here that is already at its limit. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 blocks of rails. I have observers here to renew the signal, as I said. So you can do the same here at the bottom. If you do the same, then I guess the limit of this elevator is 9 floors before you have to start using observers. Another thing you're going to have to keep in mind is that you're also going to need to use repeaters to make it bigger. Right now, it has a little bit of space for expansion in what repeaters refers to, because as you can see, we have these redstone lines all over the elevator. The one that is the longest is here at the top. Now, redstone lines can transmit redstone for 15 blocks. Otherwise, it runs out of signal strength, right? So here at the top, we have 2, 4, 6, 7 until this observer, and then we continue here by 3 blocks. Well, in this case, it's 2, but sometimes it's 4 even. So 4, not 3. So 4 blocks right here, which means that you have to subtract from those 15 blocks that you can reach 4, so 11. In case you want to build an elevator with more than 12 floors, because the last one doesn't count. The last one is not wired. Um, you're gonna need to take into account that you're gonna need to use some repeaters here at the at the side of the elevator or at the back of the control panels. So what I advise to you, that you do is, for example, if you're gonna have an elevator of, let's say, 14 floors, you divide it by two. So you're gonna have seven node blocks here for the control panel on this side, then leave a gap, and then have another seven. And this gap, you use it just to place a repeater on each of the floors, and yeah, that way you can expand it. Anyways, that's it for the elevator that has all of the features, right? Like, it's very advanced. We have the three floors. We have the panel, the selector panel on each floor. We can select each of the floors on all of the floors, right? And yeah, this elevator has, this version of the elevator has everything, right? As I said, I sectioned it into parts. So now let's see the version that doesn't have everything, which is, it doesn't have the control panel on each of the floors. It does have a button just to go down, to request to go down, but it doesn't have the selector panel to maybe select another floor. For example, if you were in floor 6 and you want to go to floor 3, you cannot do it in this one. You have to go all the way down to floor 1, and from there select floor 3. So as you can see, we have a similar selector panel. We are using just one rail here. And then we have a piston back here instead of the Bubblevator, because it is a bit slower with the Bubblevator. It is instant for each of the floors above the first one. All of them turn on the lamp at the same time, but it's a bit slower in the end. So instead, I'm using pistons. If you were to add more floors, as you can see, the last one is not wired because it's not needed. But if you were to add more floors, it's very easy to just place the same piston, and instead of slime blocks, you have to alternate with honey blocks. You can do the same L shape here, and then you're gonna have to place the redstone block right there, right? And from here, if you cannot reach, you can always put another piston here at the top. But for now, I only did the elevator of three floors, so I only need to use one slime block line. Now the next thing is, you're gonna have to wire all these buttons to this wall line, which, by the way, is also used in the original design. As you can see, the wall is in the exact same place. Now in the original design, we have this computer kind of redstone back here and another wall line back here. In this case, we don't, because we don't need to transmit the signal of the control panel back down, only upward, right? And the only wall column that we need is this one right here. We're using trapdoors to update it, as you can see. And yeah, from that we go down. So if we, for example, selected floor 2 here, we let it update, we click the button, and it gets us the water ready to go to floor 2. From floor 2, sorry, we can hit this button and it selects floor 1, and we can go down. It's pretty easy. We are sending the signal back down from all of the floors with this wall line, and as you can see, we are even using it with the first one. The only difference with the first one, though, is that, as you can see here, we have an observer here, 2 blocks, no, actually 1 block on top of this trapdoor, and that observer takes the signal of the wall column right there, right? So it sends the signal here to the control panel to select the first level. Now this trapdoor is a bit below that, so that means that it cannot update the wall that observer is reading. It only updates the wall from here and all the way down. Since this is the last wall, it doesn't really matter. It only updates this wall and sends a signal back here to the water remover with these pistons. And yeah, as you can see, all of the other trapdoors do update that thing to select the first floor, and then update this observer to trigger the water remover. Hopefully that was a good explanation. It's a bit complicated, but it's very easy if you if you check out the world download, because there's going to be a world download down in the description, as always, to this very world, so you can play around with the contraptions and learn how they work by yourselves. And then we have the last part. Oh, sorry. Which is we don't have a multi-floor elevator, just an elevator. If you wanted to go from point A to point B only, then this elevator is for you because it's very easy to do. We still have the wall column right here, but as you can see, we are only updating it with the button here at the top. The button here at the bottom just has a redstone line going directly into this piston. This piston triggers a line of repeaters right here, and also the block remover with the pistons, the water remover, sorry. And on the other hand, this wall line, which is the button up there, is connected to this observer, which is connected to another observer that updates this piston so that it only sends a signal to the water remover and not to the water spreader, if we can call it like that. So here at the bottom we need the water, so we remove the water and we place it again, basically. And then here at the top we only need to remove the water, which is what we do, and then we can go down. So this is, as I said, infinitely expandable, vertically expandable, that is, and you can build it in just a few minutes, basically, if you already have the materials. It's not very complicated to build. I made sure that it was easy to build it in survival. The water logging of the trapdoors, I would recommend to use ice and then break it with an efficiency pickaxe. You break it all the way down, and then you place the trapdoors going back up. So that elevator is super cool, guys. I'm really in love with that design. I think I did a very good job. If you have any suggestions or any comments, please let me know that in the comments. But now let's get to one that many of you might be expecting, and it is the one that is compatible with Bedrock reversion. So for this one, I decided to use the item frame control panel, which I don't like very much, but well, I was gonna do some Bedrock redstone, which I'm not very knowledgeable about. So yeah, I had to do some logic, some old school logic with comparators, repeaters to make it work. And well, the easiest way to do that was with an item frame selector, which means that we can only have 8 floors, unfortunately, on this elevator. But again, you can separate each floor by whichever or however many blocks you'd like. And you, of course, can have, well, another elevator here on top of this one and kind of change the elevators if you want. But anyways, this is my little design of decoration for this elevator. It's a bit darker. Yeah, I'm not the greatest, as I said, I'm building, so I had no choice of blocks here, but hopefully you like it. Otherwise, this is the redstone, and yeah, you can see it's all glass if you don't like to see that one. But yeah, here's the redstone that this one uses. It's so much easier than that one, and you can get it done in a few minutes as well. So the only complicated part is down here because it uses a little bit of logic. Now I'm gonna explain how to build it, but if you want to build it, well, you don't have to modify anything. You have to only copy this either in Bedrock, or if you're building it directly in Java, you can also check out the world download to copy it if you want. But yeah, the way it works is we have the item selector, the item frame selector here, and for example, right now it's set up to floor 1. As you can see, none of these repeaters are turned on, which means that it's in floor 1. But if we, for example, selected floor 4, you can see that it doesn't update right away. We need to hit the main button right here. So in this main button, what it does is it unlocks these comparators so that it lets the signal through. But before it does that, it resets all the elevators. So since we are using dispensers on this one, because the trapdoor mechanic didn't work in Bedrock, we're using dispensers with water buckets in this one, which means that we have to trigger them twice. One to eject the water, and then one to retract or collect the water back again, right? Which means that we have to basically reset it every time. So we have a 4-tick delay on this repeater right here, so that it gives us a little bit of time to reset all the dispensers. Now, how do we reset them? Well, we reset them by by with this repeater. So as you can see, the button has this redstone line here all the way to this repeater, which locks this comparator or makes it compare the signal, and it basically turns down the signal to 0, which means that all of these pistons, which correspond to all of the floors of the elevator. As you can see, we have 2 pistons for each floor. All of these pistons extend. They extend, and that basically triggers the dispensers that we had active before. For example, if we were to select floor 3, these pistons would be retracted, and that means all of the dispensers here at the top will trigger, but not the ones at the bottom. And if we reset it, we extend these pistons again, the trapdoors get read by these observers, and again, all of these dispensers trigger, but not the ones at the bottom. Also, if we trigger the main handle of the system, which is these 2 pistons here at the bottom for the first floor, if one of these is retracted at the moment we trigger those, the signal is not gonna go through all the way up, just till the floor that we say we have to be activate, right? And that's basically the explanation. I know it's a very complicated explanation. I didn't find the words to explain it in a bit easier manner, an easier way. But that's basically what's happening, right? We basically extend all of these pistons, which means that we reset the dispensers. All of the water gets dispensed all the way up, and then 4 ticks after, because we also have the torch there, which adds an extra tick. So 4 ticks after, we unlock that comparator, let the signal of the item frame through, and we select our floor, which means that the pistons for that floor are gonna retract, and the signal can go through and collect all the water from that floor on to the top, right? Now, the way we are resetting it, or calling the first floor from any of the other floors, because this button right here on each of the other floors above the first one, is to go down to the first floor. The way we're doing it is we have a T flip-flop here that I'm using a dispenser with some powder snow, because I don't know which kind of T flip-flops you have in Bedrock, guys. So I just chose to use this one. It's a little bit of a trick that I came up with at the moment of designing it. I thought, well, it's not that big of a T flip-flop, I can work with it. So basically, we're reading the signal of the bucket. Whenever the bucket is full with powder snow, it becomes to an unstackable item, which means that it's going to have a signal strength of 2. Here in the composer, we have 1 level only, so we are subtracting it from that comparator. So right now, it's like if that comparator was reading a signal of 0, but in theory, or in reality, is reading a 1, right? But since we are subtracting that, it's a signal of 0, and it basically does the same, right? It uses this same line with the 1 tick repeater and 4 ticks delay, but instead of using this comparator that is reading the item frame, we are using this comparator that is reading another composer with a level of 1 to reset the signal to the first floor. Like the other elevator, the last floor, which in this case is the 8th floor, it doesn't need a wire, or it doesn't need these trapdoors to retract, because it's the last floor, so we don't have any other floors above it to basically collect the water from them. Anyways, that's the basic explanation. And if we, for example, select floor 6, we can hit the button. You can see all the dispensers trigger, and then the last ones trigger again to collect the water from the 6th floor, which is this one, onto the 8th floor. If we hit this button, we're gonna see that all of the water gets resetted, and then retracted immediately, so that we can go down. And this can be done to any floor, and even if there you can see it takes us to floor 2. Even if there's already people on floor 2 and new people come here to use the elevator and they want to say go to floor 4, or let's do a different one. Let's go to floor 7. You can do it even though the the elevator is not reset, because it resets itself every time, right? So now they can go to floor 7, and the people that were on floor 2 can still request to go down to the first floor, and yeah, the elevator triggers to go down to first floor. Now I use a torch tower here in this case, but it's a different torch tower. It's not the usual one that is just like this. This one is like a kind of a zigzag torch tower, because in Bedrock I discovered that trapdoors actually will have a delay to trigger. So it's like if there was another observer there. So yeah, I had to do the elevator a bit slower. So in theory, in Java, you could do it way faster. But of course, this is meant to be compatible both in Bedrock and in Java. So I had to do it like this. And anyways, guys, hopefully you like the system. Let's actually do it with the nice one just to see if it works. Let's go all the way to up to floor 8. And right away we can go up to floor 8. And that's it, guys. Hopefully you liked the video. Hopefully you find it useful. If you have any doubts about any of the systems, let me know down in the comments. I'll try to solve them. Also, yeah, the world download is gonna be available down in the description, so that you can play around in this very world, explore the contraptions, each of the contraptions by yourselves. And yeah, hopefully this video doesn't turn out too big. I try to make it as fast as possible, but of course it was a lot to explain. That's also why I didn't make it a tutorial about it. Well, that, and also because that system would be a pain to explain in a tutorial. So yeah, you can check it out in the world download, and maybe make a schematic of it to take it to your own world, whatever. But anyways, guys, hopefully you liked the video. If you did, please consider to hit the thumbs up down below. It would really, be amazing. I would really appreciate it. And also, if you like the content that I post in this channel, some redstone contraptions, some redstone tutorials from time to time, also the Let's Play series that I do, just consider subscribing for more content like this. And anyways, guys, this video took the whole week non-stop to, well, to record and to plan out the elevators, because with that one was not that difficult to come up. But this one, even though it's very simple, I had to learn a lot of the mechanics of Bedrock, because there were very different mechanics than Java. And it took a while for me to figure that some things didn't work the way they do in Java. So yeah, I probably won't be doing the same thing for many contraptions in the future, that to make them like both versions compatible. Because it's a pain. It's a pain to relearn all the mechanics that you already know. But yeah, I'll try to do it with as many contraptions as I can, or with the ones that I think are possible, or is possible to do them. But I don't promise anything, guys. Anyways, guys, yeah, this took a long while. So if you appreciate the effort that I put into the video, also consider subscribing. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great weekend, and goodbye.